So who told you you couldn't draw? At school, I was told that I was a chatterbox, that I daydreamed all day, that I doodled too much, I looked weird. And it was such negative energy, just something to do to a child. I could have really closed down at that point, but instead, I chose to make it my life's work. As an artist, I went forward feeling and knowing this energy that I wanted to take forward as an artist would be a creative, good energy, all that negative things from school. I really wanted to be able to harness that and know that that was my USP. Being different was the thing that made me stand out, and eventually that would be the thing that people would want me for. Why would I want to be like somebody else? I can only be who I am. So I went into fashion from the art world. But at art college, I was really unique because I was too sculpturally for painting, and I was too painterly for the sculpture department, and they didn't know where to put me in a box. You're supposed to laugh there. But it was really difficult because they didn't know where to place me, and subsequently, again, I didn't fit in. But I had a feeling very strongly that why would I want to be somebody else? This is who I am. This is going to be my unique selling point. So I started to use the face as a canvas. It was very much at the time I was doing installation art and I wanted bodies and people in my work. But so I started to do it on myself simply because I couldn't get the models that I wanted. I didn't even know how to approach people that way. And I used myself. And I immediately saw that instead of doing artwork where people come to it and they look at a painting and immediately they stand, how should I be standing looking at art? And actually, inside, they're quite afraid of getting art wrong or the idea of art wrong. So it was really kind of using a face. I suddenly saw people, they suddenly connected, immediately connected. It's the first thing we see as a baby. It's the last thing we see when we die is the loved one's face. And immediately doing artwork on a face made people, everything fell away. It was like they were connected. You know, something amazing happened. They accepted the art on a different level. And I realized that right there, that was it. And the art world and the fashion world are very similar. I moved into fashion thinking naively it was very different from the art world, but it's not. It's full of the same people who are afraid and do build up big sort of ideas of what being a makeup artist is. So again, I was an outsider, and I still feel very much like an outsider, like a sort of satellite in that world, because again, I was being told, well, you don't fit in. You know, you're an artist, and where did you study, and who did you assist? And of course, I didn't. But again, my style, what initially was shunned, the more I pushed at it, and the more I said, and came back harder, and I thought, I've got to keep coming back and proving you wrong. That resonated with me, and it made me stronger. I got really amazing parents to thank for that, because they were the ones that always said, go back, get back on the horse, it's a stayer's race. And that led me to basically want to challenge the notion of beauty, want to go where other people are not dared to tread, which is going into a place like a beauty hall where there's a cookie-cutter look, there's the Kardashians, or there's erase imperfection, there's don't age, you know, don't be a man in makeup, all those things, all those taboos. And Illamasqua was founded out of the idea of kind of rocking that world, putting it in a space that was not elitist art. It wasn't just read by a few people. It was a beauty hall. It was Selfridges. It was your supermarket. It was somewhere where you're so used to just seeing cosmetic and beauty images that never challenge anything, race, age, nothing. So I thought that would be the most amazing place to kind of sneak art under the radar. Now, today I want to talk about exactly that. It's looking differently, just looking, just for a minute, just looking without prejudice, paying attention, so really sort of being in the moment of looking, and also allowing yourself to be moved by images, and allowing just kind of to accept and be yourself in the moment of being able to see yourself. And that leads me to tell you about Evelyn. When I'm in a space doing makeup, it's really hard to explain, but it's the most incredible, emotional, connective space. Because if you think about it, the only person that touches your face is either your child or your loved one, your partner, or somebody that's a therapist. And in that touching, and it's like when people say, I always talk to hairdressers, it's like there's a reason for that. Because they're entering a permission-giving space that you feel. And something resonates, and you connect, and there's an emotional attachment to that person. For that moment, they're in your aura, they're in your space, and they start to tell you things. And the stories that come out, and the incredible connection that I have with people when I do their makeup. I'm just blessed to be in that space. And I'm very cosmic, as you can probably tell. I channel that. So it's something that really is an incredible door opener for both of us. And Evelyn is an amazing woman. She is somebody that I was inspired by, somebody that I aspired to be. And it made me want to, like I said, in beauty, challenge the idea of age and race and gender. And this was where I started to challenge the notion of aging. Evelyn's 72, and when we worked together, she had the most powerful spirit. And she really, really made me think, if she can be 72 and have this power and this verve and this energy, that's 50 more years. I can count how old I am. That's 40 years of being able to just really have that kind of like connection with beauty. And she said to me, I feel like all you guys in the room. I feel like the 25-year-old. I feel like the 45-year-old. But I want to look like that, but not kind of mutton dressed as lamb. I want to feel that I've connected the inside with the outside. And I feel that you can do that. And when I started to work with her, this, I won't say transformation, but there was something that just, she came even more alive. She kind of said, that is how I feel inside. You have connected the inside to the outside. And I was blessed to be the facilitator of that. But she said, listen, this is powerful stuff. This is enabling. This is permission giving. This is saying to somebody, this is what you are inside, and this is what you could be outside. And all the girls in the room that saw her looking that way and saw her looking that amazing at 72 said, I thought your kind of life was over at 35. It's like tinted moisturizer forever. Or, you were kind of on the beauty shelf and nobody would kind of touch you. So it was really interesting for me to see that that gave a kind of pro-age and a hope towards being that age and having an inspirational woman at that age to aspire to. Now, guys, men in makeup, I can see you all kind of retracting in. Probably not in our lifetime. We're not going to see a guy in full face of makeup kind of going off to work. But essentially, what makeup does for women and men that do wear it is it enables you to adorn yourself and have a moment where it's almost like a sacred sort of, as if you're going into battle. You have a space between the perceived you and the projected you. It might just be a flick, it might be a full face of makeup, it might be a thing that's your motif that you've gathered over the years, and that gives you the power to move forward into the world with a little bit of a veil. Guys don't really have that. They have kind of facial hair, different parting, but they've not got much to work with. And I think that when I've worked with men and they've said, right, I'm going to do some makeup, and Ian's an actor. He's used to being in character. He's had many different guises. But I said to him, I'm not going to make you look like somebody else. I want to connect what's inside you. What do you feel like? What do you want to be? And he of course, he's like, Johnny Depp. I love the pirate. I love the kind of oiliness. I like matinee idols. And I was, okay. And also knowing him, knowing that all those things combined, if you could do that and you could just give that little bit of motifs and characteristics or even a connection to what that might be, that would he be different? Would he stand different? Would he perform differently? Would he feel different? And as you do the makeup and as you build in shadows and depth, and it's really great to be able to know this guy and know that when he was transformed, he stood differently, he looked differently, he spoke differently, he walked differently, he had swagger. Most of the women there were just like, oh. And he said, right, I'm not washing it off. I'm staying in this forever. And he was taking selfies. But it was amazing to see. The transformation was incredible. And that was just pigment. It's just oil. It's just tiny, tiny differences. Now, Jo is the face of Skin Difference campaign. She is somebody that is very positive image for people with skin difference, birthmarks, scars. I wanted to do an image in a beauty hall that was so far from what people consider as regular beauty, something that would challenge people's notion of what's beautiful, but also not draw attention to, oh, somebody with a birthmark, this is a campaign that's almost, by being positive, being negative. Jo, I was inspired by her skin difference. I was inspired by this birthmark. It looked like half a butterfly. It looked like a map of the world. It was just something that as a makeup artist, I was inspired by the shape, but I was also inspired by her. And I wanted to draw attention to it. I wanted to draw around it. I wanted to add oil and texture to it that would make it not only be an inspiring aspect, but people wouldn't know if it was makeup, was it a birthmark, what was it? So in that kind of level, or that just looking confusion, you didn't know what you were looking at. So by not knowing what you were looking at, you accepted it on a cerebral, sensitive, heartfelt level, where it was just beautiful. It's just Jo, she's beautiful. And she said for the first time, she felt that she was being booked as a model, not as the girl with the birthmark. She was somebody that turned my understanding round of what was possible. And in the beauty hall, people just stopped and stared at it. It's like, what is this? And I called this campaign I'm Perfection, because when I looked at imperfection and I looked at what everybody was trying to do in a beauty hall and erase imperfection, I saw, just by putting a comma, apostrophe, I'm perfection in imperfection. I just had this eureka moment. I was just like, oh, this is absolutely what Jo's about. And it was about having that image and seeing and viewing without judgment. It's kind of the way that children view bubbles. So bubbles. This is a picture of me and my son. And outside the Tate in London, there's a bubble guy, and he makes the most incredible bubbles. And it's just the most amazing sight. You can see children, little ones, popping them. They come out of the machine, they come out of the man, and they can't stop popping them because they know that there's going to be more. Why not pop a bubble? Because essentially, they're not aware of mortality, they're not aware of anything other than the pure magic of what they are, and popping them is half the fun, if not all the fun. Then you've got mums, and you've got older children, and you've got grown-ups kind of looking at them and just revering them as beautiful things, the aliens and the angels amongst us. And then a child pops them, and they go, oh no, that was so beautiful, why did you pop it? And then if you can see in the background, there's the third person that's just on the phone. They don't see the bubbles, whatever. And for me, that kind of distills so much of life. It's the popping the bubbles, the revering, and the not seeing. While I've been writing this TED Talk and thinking about it and rewriting it and going through everything, I've been doing it in a nursery because my son has just started nursery. And it's such an amazing place because I've had a sort of window on the world, on the children, and I really feel kind of blessed to have had that moment because it's really added to what I'm about to say. Seeing the children kind of really excited about playing, really excited about the sandpit, and they run up to the sandpit, and they're kind of like, oh wow, this is all new and it's exciting, but then they stop at the edge of the sandpit, and they kind of do a self-check, and they see their new shoes and then maybe their clean clothes, and I think, oh, this is what probably Mummy wouldn't want me to do. This is, I'm aware that really maybe I shouldn't get my new shoes dirty or my clean clothes dirty. And it's that kind of like almost being aware, so overly aware of what play's possible outcome could be, that it made me think that's exactly what the emotional blocks are, or creative blocks are, that when you're an adult, you don't even know, you're not even aware that at some point someone's policed your play, at some point somebody said, oh, that drawing's not quite right, or, that it was a bit like a lion, but you tried, but it really wasn't right there. And right there is where you kind of close down. That's where you essentially decide that drawing or that singing isn't for you, or you're not the kind of creative that you thought you were. And also that play has a possible outcome of error. You might be getting it wrong, so you kind of retract. And really, the whole idea of that is what inspired me to try and make an enabling tool, try and make something that was a permission-giving space, because that notion of getting your hands dirty, or like the idea that you might be able to just not be able to let go because you've been told that play wasn't for you, or drawing wasn't for you, or the notion of being creative wasn't for you, is something that as an adult, I can see people when you say, oh, let's just have a little bit of a playtime, let's do something different. You can see people literally retract and seize up and say, because even the notion of getting something wrong or not, or being judged, or somebody saying over your shoulder, or that inner voice, is what stops people from even trying to play. So the enabling software that I made was called Splashbox. And essentially, this is something that enables you to use virtual paint to throw at a face. Something that honestly is like the most unleashing, happiest thing you can do. I did a workshop that was inviting grown-ups to come and have their makeup done by their children, and I called it a play date. And we filled this space full of makeup, but broken up, so it wasn't like, you're going into a sort of hostile environment. There was lots of Play-Doh everywhere, there was lots of things to play with, but essentially it was makeup. And we invited the parents to sit down and let their kid go crazy on them. And it was really beautiful, because what happened was that the parents connected with their children in a way that they never had before, because normally mums or maybe some dads say, oh, no, this, please don't get it on the carpet. This is mummy's makeup. Oh, don't do. So there's a kind of like a fear of not only will it get dirty, they grow up thinking, this isn't for me, but it's also that they do something that stops and holds that for a second, where the child really thinks this is an area that I shouldn't be involved with. And especially when a child is allowed to do that to their mother's faces or their father's faces, it's just a very incredible creative moment where they both bond together. And I had Splashbox at this event, and the CEO of our company, I said, come on, no one's looking. Come up on the stage, have a go. And he said, no, you're the creative, I can see, yes, you've got the black and white hair. No, I'll just stay here. And I said, come on, just have a go. And he said, and I literally had to drag him onto the stage. And then he got on the stage and he just did a bit of this. Just a little waft. And he said, there you go. I've done it now. I've been creative, thank you. I said, no, come on, you just get into the groove. And he said, oh, I know, people are looking. I said, they're not, they're putting makeup on each other, don't worry about it. So he started to do a bit of this, and then a bit more, and then his gestures were like, and he was going like this, and he was really, and honestly, by the time he kind of finished, and he was gesturing like this, and it was just going absolutely crazy, something happened, and something incredibly emotional happened for him and happened for me, is that I saw somebody let something go. I saw somebody connect with something they'd forgotten about. I saw somebody be free, and it was something that it's still talking about it now, it just breaks me, because it was incredible watching somebody just really just set free and be themselves. And it touches me now, because it was unbelievable. It was like I saw something leave. And I said to him, and it's the first thing that came into my mind, I said, "Who told you you couldn't draw?" And he said, "You're absolutely right." Since then, he's not touched anything. He's not touched any artwork. He's never not touched even a crayon. And he said, it really set me free. And he said, it's made me think about looking differently. It's made me think about connecting with the idea of fun, play, freedom. And that can only open my mind.